On to Chapter 10 now, Managing Employee Performance. Oh, there we go. So we have the process of performance management. The process requires knowing what activities and outputs are desired, observing whether the activities and outputs actually occur, and providing feedback to help employees meet their expectations. So here's the step in the performance management system. We have step number 1, define the performance outcomes. Step number 2, we want to develop employee goals, like how many widgets we expect them to make in a certain time. Then step 3, we provide support and ongoing performance discussions. Step number 4, we evaluate the performance. Step number 5, we identify improvements that are needed. And 6, we provide consequences for the performance results. Okay, so what are the purposes of performance management? Well, the first is strategic purpose. It helps organization achieve business objectives. We have the administrative purpose, the ways in which the organizations use the system to provide information in day-to-day decisions. Developmental purpose, the basis for developing employees' knowledge and skills. So suppose you're a manager and the performance management system your company used has often created competition among team members. How would you address this issue? Would you A, I wouldn't do anything, competition is good. B, I would make collaboration be one of the criteria for evaluation. C, I would increase the specificity of the feedback I provided. And D, I would focus my review on personality traits rather than tasks. Well, you can argue for any one of these, but probably B, I would make collaboration be one of the criteria, is the most effective solution. And that's what we want to do, is be the most effective that we can. Okay, some criteria for effective performance management. Fit the strategy, support the company goals. We really shouldn't be doing it if it doesn't somehow help us achieve the company goals in one way or another. Validity is the measure which was intended to, measure what is intended to. The reliability is the yield consistent with results over time. Acceptability, accepted by those who use it. Specific feedback, give specific expectations and methods to achieve goals. So there's just another graphic from the book showing the contamination and deficiency of job performance measures. Only the middle area there, the pea green maybe, area of validity is the area we want to be in. So I want to make comparisons. I can do a simple ranking. I can do a forced distribution method, or I can do a paired comparison method. And the book goes through, talks about graphic rating scale, the mixed standard scale, rating behaviors, critical incident method, the behavioral anchors, rating scale, bars, the behavior observation scale, the organizational behavior modification. Oops, my thing is frozen here. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. Measuring results of productivity, getting more done with a smaller amount of resources, increases the company profits. So of course, if revenue is going to go up and resources or our costs are going to go down, we're going to raise the profits. Management by objective. People at each level of the organization set goals and process that flows from top to bottom. Top to bottom meaning on your organizational chart. Employees at all levels contribute to the organization's overall goals. Set goals become standards for evaluating employee performance. So a TQM, or Total Quality Management, approach to performance measurement includes subjective feedback from managers, peers, and customers, as well as objective feedback based on the process. So what's the difference between subjective and objective? Objective means that I'm not taking any biases, or I'm using numbers to calculate something that numbers don't lie. Not that I'm going to try to lie, but it's easier to evaluate, I think, with objective. where subjective is a little influenced by my opinions. So if I'm reading your paper, I don't look at the name because I don't want to have any biases in my mind at the time. Is this a good student? Is this a bad student? Is this someone who doesn't turn in their homework ever, for example? So total quality management, the assessment of both individual performance and the system within which the individual works, yields subjective feedback from the managers, yields objective feedback based on work processes. So I can ask your manager basically, how's Joe doing? Or I can make up a rating chart based on the work process, which would be much more objective, using statistical quality control. Okay, 360-degree performance appraisals combine information from a variety of sources, and it results in the most complete assessment possible. Types of rating errors. Raters tend to give higher evaluations to people they consider similar to themselves. If I think they're good characteristics in me, I'm going to think it's good characteristics in, say, my subordinate, and rate them higher because of that. I can also have a contrast error. Rater compares individual not against the individual standard, but not against other employees. So I may have an employee that's awesome. They do the job well. They do extra work. They get so much done in a day. It's unbelievable. Well, I can't compare everyone to that individual if they're working above the expectations for that position. And sometimes it's hard to do. I can have a distributional error. The rater uses only part of the rating scale. And there's different ways this can work. It could be leniency, that I grade everyone to the top. I want everyone to be my friend. I don't want to see bad in anybody. I'm going to be very lenient in my ratings. It can go the other way, strictness. The reviewer favors lower rankings. And that could be a problem if, I'm manager A and manager B. I'm strict. My employees are going to look worse than manager B's employees, because they're more lenient, and they might be eligible for more promotions based on that. Or I may just do the central tendency where I put everyone in the middle of the road. Basically, everyone gets satisfactory. Another rating error is rater bias. The rater lets their opinion of one quality color their opinions of others. It could be the halo effect. The bias causes favorable ratings, or it could go the other way, the horns rating. The bias causes negative ratings. So there's just a little graphic that shows that. Can't really make out that horns one. I don't think I want to, though. Okay, Bill rates all of his employees very low except for Jan. Bill gives Jan above average marks because she consistently comes to work on time. Bill makes the rating errors of what for his team and of what for Jan. Is it leniency, horn? Strictness and halo? Similar to me, central tendency? Or D, horn, strictness? Well, the answer is B. Bill makes the rating error of strictness with his team as he favors lower rankings. He makes the rating error of halo for Jan because his opinion of her quality, her punctuality, colors his opinion of her in a favorable light. Okay. Oops. I skipped ahead. Hang on. Going back. Okay, ways to reduce errors. Raters can be trained to avoid making errors using a variety of methods. You could rate fictional employees, have a little bio written up and have them rate that employee based on that to get some practice, and then you can discuss the decisions. Studying actual examples of varied performances, focusing on complex nature of employee performance, and data analysts can be used to find patterns. You can compare manager A to manager B and see that I consistently rate people lower, and that would be a way to reduce errors. Political behavior and performance appraisal. Sometimes raters are political. They distort evaluations to advance their own political goals. Not like voting for our president or some other way, not political in that way, but political in our things that we want to achieve. Calibration meetings can use to minimize politics. Managers discuss performance rating and provide evidence supporting their ratings and the goal of eliminating intentional errors. So we want to give feedback. So we need to schedule performance feedback. Should be a regular expected management activity, beneficial when the schedule is scheduled frequently. It's most effective when information does not surprise the employee. We don't want an aha moment. Employees are motivated when they know if they are on the right track. So a lot of companies will do an annual review. That's really not often enough, especially for a newer employee. I would say 3 to 6 months, because if you're on the wrong track, you really need to know that. How could you correct your behavior if you don't realize you're doing something wrong? So preparing for the session, managers should be well prepared for each session. Read everything beforehand, refresh your memory. Managers should ask each employee to complete a self-assessment ahead of time. So conducting the session, you should have a tell and sell approach. Managers tell employees their ratings and justify those ratings. Tell and listen approach, managers tell employees their ratings and then let them explain in their own view. And problem-solving approach, managers and employees solve performance problems. So types of actions depends on what the employee lacks. Is it a lack of ability? Is it a lack of motivation? Is it a lack of both? Is it a lack of neither? Employees with high ability and high motivation are generally solid performers. But it might be that, I have a great ability, but you're not challenging me enough. I don't have the motivation to move to do go beyond my scope on the job. Okay, so they list a bunch of questions that you can use for diagnosing remedies to performance problems. Legal requirements. Lawsuits often arise in two areas: uniform guidelines for employee selection procedures and unjust dismissal. It should be legally defensible based on job analysis, evaluations based on behavior rather than traits, multiple raters whose ratings can be appealed, and provide employees with feedback and coaching for hiring or training I've had to go to court for unjust dismissal before, not for myself, of course, for an employee on the HR side. The best thing to do is to have documentation, to have these evaluations that have specific information to them. I fired this person because they were warned this day, they were warned that day, they were warned again, a formal writing, they were suspended, and then I finally had to terminate them for tardiness. I need to be able to back that up. So electronic monitoring and employee privacy. Organizations often store records of the employees' ratings and evaluations in electronic databases. They can help improve productivity, but raises privacy concerns. I'm sure you all get messages every so often about a security breach, your credit card, your Wi-Fi account, whatever. It's quite common. Electronic systems should not be a substitute for careful management. And that's it for Chapter 10.